So Prime Minister May now saying that she will step down. Is this sort of a concession to Brexit hardliners for them to back her deal that will get a third vote now?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the last card Theresa May has left to play. Her deal has been rejected twice by Parliament. The Speaker of the House has indicated it can't go for a third vote unless she substantially changes it. So she's still struggling to find a way to get it into the House for a third vote. And she's still struggling to get enough votes to make it worth putting to Parliament again. So her meeting today with Conservative backbenchers was really an attempt, a final attempt, one might say, to persuade them to come over to her side, and it looks like she's offered to step down as soon as that's done, and that's not a huge surprise. I think it's a question whether it will be enough at this stage for her to get enough votes for her deal, and that's certainly not clear that it will be.
And of course, Mike, as Cher is noting, you do see a small reaction here in the pound, as you might expect, in terms of just how much reaction we expect to get from markets over not just this piece of news, but what might come next. There's some important votes ahead. What are we looking for by the way of volatility? Do you think there'll be a lot of waiting to see how things finally shake out?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, as you said, the pound seemed to maybe come off its high of the day a little bit after this news. But you're absolutely right. The upcoming votes are much more important. And, for all the uncertainty, the pound hasn't it's been stably volatile, I guess, is the way to put it. It hasn't really dropped out of any of the ranges it's been in. So with the votes coming up, I think, is that a risk? Possibly, but we'll have to see when it comes.
Mike, and of course, this comes at a time when the ECB President Mario Draghi said that an accommodative policy stance is needed. So we're seeing rates on German bonds also sinking below zero, deeper into the negative territory.
Right, and sort of this vibe around the world now that central banks are getting a little bit more dovish clearly catching some people by surprise, really pushing yields down across the world. Interesting turn of events for sure.
So, Therese, obviously there's a lot still ahead, and we're hearing reports that there could be mass ministerial resignations among Theresa May's caucus. In terms of what happens next, what are you watching most closely here?
Well, I think what we'll be watching tonight is whether any of the options that are being voted on garners enough support that Parliament can say that it has more support than, say, Theresa May's deal. So, for example, one of the options that we, will be looking at particularly closely is the idea of a permanent customs union with the EU. That would solve the Irish border problem, which has been extremely controversial here, and it would provide another route through to a Brexit that isn't Theresa May's deal. Otherwise, I'm not expecting any real clarity tonight. I think this is a process that's going to run for the next few days.
Therese, where is the European Union in all of this? Because we, of course, have seen them really upping their contingency preparations for a no-deal Brexit.
Yeah. I mean, the European Union is, very concerned about a no-deal Brexit. They want to avoid that at all costs. The second thing they'd like to avoid is blame for, for the fallout from Brexit. So they're trying to be accommodating, extending the March 29th deadline already once. There were indications also that if Parliament preferred a sort of customs union style Brexit, that could be negotiated in fairly short order. So it wouldn't require a long extension. And at the same time, Donald Tusk, the European Council president, has been saying, Parliament should give a hearing to those who've signed a petition to revoke Article 50. It should let people vote. So, there are still some in the European Union that are hoping that maybe the whole thing can be canceled. But I think that's probably very unlikely at this point.